pleased to present for your consideration.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Jabberbox Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Bond, and with me is my good friend, longtime friend, Dan Singleton. What's up, Dan?
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
It's just E3. So we actually just finished the Ubisoft Forward conference for E3, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it because we have a short amount of time before the Gearbox Showcase. So basically, the first one that came out of the gate was Rainbow Six Extraction. Dan, are you familiar with the Rainbow Six games that are coming out, like Siege and such like that?
I am.
You are?
Yeah, I haven't played any in a while, but yes, I am familiar.
Yeah. So Extraction actually looks pretty cool. The cinematic that they showed a showcase of various tech specialists and heavies for the game. At first, because I didn't catch that it was Rainbow Six Extraction, and the hashtag that they were using was R6 Extraction. I thought it was a Resident Evil. And then they showcased some of the creatures that were coming out that looked like they were from Resident Evil, but apparently these are alien variants that are taking your team, and you're essentially going through these basements. From what I've seen, based off of the trailer, it's very roguelike what they were saying, and that the deeper that you go into these subzones, the more that you risk in terms of losing your progress and your items. And it looked like that your teammates could get captured as well randomly, and then you have to go and find them to try to save them because you're not going to be able to get out of there without a full team, which is actually kind of cool. Not generally my type of game, but it looked interesting for sure.
I'd be willing to give it a go. I mean, it's not something that I have invested a ton of time into in the past, the Rainbow Six series, but it's a first-person shooter. Yeah, it's pretty hard to go wrong with those, generally speaking. There are exceptions, of course, but it's pretty hard to not at least get some enjoyment, especially if there's new twists. I'm always about trying out new things.
Yeah, and what I liked about it too is it wasn't the typical zombies. It wasn't just like Rainbow Six zombie extraction, and then you have to fight a horde of zombies, get everybody to helicopters, and get the hell out of there. So I like the aliens aspect of it. It looked pretty cool. Some of the classes that they had seemed pretty neat too, to kind of keep you on your toes.
Since you thought it was a Resident Evil game at first, that actually brings up something kind of interesting. I would actually like to see a game where, because a lot of the zombie survival horror genre games, they're always you're alone or you're with one other person, and it's a battle for survival and escape. I'd like to play a zombie survival game where you're like part of a responding army and you have full support, you have airstrikes, you have artillery barrages that you can call in. Like I think that'd be a fun twist on the zombie genre. I know that's like an offshoot of what we're talking about, but since you brought it up and it just popped in my head, I thought I'd talk about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think they are doing a multiplayer for Resident Evil. I don't really pay too much attention to it, honestly, but I bet anything that they're going to showcase that for the Capcom showcase later this week. So I think, yeah.
I mean, I'm getting a little burned out on like the battle royale, but you could even do it with zombies, where like the zombies circle in closer and closer, and if you get caught out there, then you have to start fighting larger hordes.
I think they might have done something like that for World War Z, but again, I'm not a zombie guy, so I like if that game.
Yeah, and I never played that game.
It went just as quick. So, with Rainbow Six Extraction.
Yeah, sorry, I completely derailed that whole conversation. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I mean, we're just having a conversation, Rainbow Six Siege is actually doing some updates as well that they showcased. So they're doing more updates to improve the game that has been ongoing. And it looks like June 30th, they are going to be doing a cross-play between PC gaming and Stadia for the streaming for that. And then in 2022, they did announce that there's going to be crossplay between the Xbox and PlayStation platforms, which is actually pretty cool. I think Rainbow Six Siege was one of those games that I was always interested in, but I'm not a multiplayer guy, and everyone's schedules and consoles and everything like that always gets all jumbled up. I like the idea of crossplay between the console platforms. So it's Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. You're going to be able to play that, which is awesome because you, Dan, you play on the Xbox and I have a PlayStation. It's going to be really cool for us to be able to, jump on and play our consoles of choice, put the same game together and still run through that. And I know that we have a bunch of buddies that are on Xbox and various other platforms as well. So that
PC
was actually a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, cross-platform play can be a lot of fun. It's, I think, difficult sometimes for studios and developers to get a correct balance struck between consoles and PC players, but that's a whole different conversation for a whole different podcast.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I saw on this one, it looks like for like PC, they're going to be crossplay with Stadia. So it's just, I think they're treating it like it's a PC. And then for Xbox and PlayStation, so I don't know if we're going to be able to play with other PC players. From what I gathered, I'd be all right if it was just consoles only for the Xbox and PlayStation. But it's still a very exciting concept of that. So
agreed.
So from there, they did showcase Rocksmith Plus, which is going to be the interactive music learning subscription service for Rocksmith. And it's going to kind of pull from the other two games that they had for Rocksmith. It's going to allow you to connect to PC, smartphones, and I believe consoles as well. They're going to be doing weekly releases for learning, so you can kind of strum along with hundreds of songs. They're actually going to be doing various genres and subgenres. So it's not just going to be, rock. It's, as the name of the game states, like Rocksmith. It's they actually do have hip hop and they have jazz and they have all these other ones. So that's actually pretty cool too. So I know that you might like some different songs and want to play that on like acoustic guitars, on electric guitars and bass. And then they're going to open it up for a closed beta right after the show on rocksmith.com, which I've actually been trying to do, but the website is not quite working just yet. It's not up yet.
Or because E3 is going, it's got a lot heavy traffic on it. It's one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at it, it's giving me a server error 404, so it's definitely not live for sure. I don't mind the subscription service. They didn't state any pricing though, so it would really depend on the pricing. I've always enjoyed tinkering with a guitar. I have a guitar, but I've just never stuck with it, and I think something like this might actually help. Who knows?
I think the only instrument I've ever put any effort into ever learning was the trombone. Once upon a time, I've still never learned to read music to this day. Although I enjoy the piano, but that's off topic. Again, apparently that's my thing, is to just derail conversations.
And then Riders Republic seems interesting, but I don't think that if it's something that I jump into, I would stick with. The Riders Republic is going to be like that arcade, the extreme sports arcade that's going to have you playing with people worldwide. You're going to be doing different missions. You're earning stars to unlock different vehicles, such like mountain bikes, and you have your wingsuits. So when you do races in the air, and skis and snowboards and such like that. So it actually looks like Ubisoft has this crazy desire to continue with this extreme sports gaming, as they did with Trials, which was okay for me. They did Steep. I never actually played Steep, although that actually looked cool at the time. It just kind of fizzled out when they were having troubles with it. And then now Riders Republic looks like they just matched everything together, and this is what we're going to get. So,
yeah, the extreme sports games have never really been in my wheelhouse. I think the last time I've ever put any real effort into one was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Yeah.
So it's been probably 20 years ballpark. It doesn't look bad. I just don't think it's my type of game. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be my cup of tea for that either. It's definitely something I'll look into, but a lot of these games they've actually kept with for, as far as Ubisoft goes, and they were showing more updates for stuff like For Honor, Brawlhalla, The Crew 2, which I didn't even know was still going on, Watch Dogs Legion. That actually has my attention. I think I'm going to pick up Watch Dogs Legion fairly soon because they're bringing Aiden Pierce from Watch Dogs into it with a DLC pack, along with Wrench from Watch Dogs 2, and they're supposed to team up in London, which looks really neat. They're going to be doing an update soon. They showcased Ghost Recon Breakpoint. The 20th anniversary is coming up, so we'll probably get some more information on that. Then we have Just Dance 2022, which they did the special guest for, which was Todrick Hall. I don't know who that is, but the song seemed pretty funny when they were showcasing that. And then, then they showcased some of their TV shows and movies coming up, like Mythic Quest 2 Season 2 on Apple TV. But again, it's another subscription service that I'm not going to pay for. So unfortunately, I don't get to see that show. But it does look funny because it's got Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's the lead game designer. It seems like it'd be something right up our alley, but I'm not doing another subscription.
Yeah, subscription is getting a little bit out of hand with how many you have to keep up with and pay for just to get everything.
Right. Next up, what else did they show? Assassin's Creed. That's going to be coming up with some updates. They're going to do updates on River Raiders, as well as quests and one-handed swords and other weapons on there. They just released the Wrath of the Druids recently, within the last month or two, and then the new DLC Siege of Paris is going to be incoming this summer with new enemies, abilities, and weapons for that as well.
Yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. I can't think of a time when, maybe if you go back to like the first Assassin's Creed game when the Crusades were going on, is the only other time I can think of where there's like that big, epic, huge, massive open world battle ongoing that you can interact with and play in. And that's kind of what it seems like the Siege of Paris is going to be. And I'm kind of excited for that.
Yeah, it looks awesome. So I'll be getting the season pass for that here shortly so I can pick up all those because I still have to go back and do Wrath of the Druids. The next actual game that I'm pretty excited for is Far Cry 6. What did you think of that?
It looks amazing, and the attention to detail on little things at least in the trailer that they showed was pretty impressive. Specifically, what caught my eye was the villain, Giancarlo Esposito. Right. The knot that they used for his tie in that scene is not just like a half Windsor or even a full Windsor. It's something that's pretty unique. It's called the Eldridge knot. At first, I thought it was the Merovingian tie knot, and I was incorrect. I actually looked it up. It's called the Eldridge. And it's not a common knot, but it looks amazing if you can pull it off properly. And they included that in there. And it's just kind of one of those little things that makes the villain stand out among all of the other, his like top lieutenants and captains and things like that.
Yeah, he's not just killing. He's a man of business, a man of stature, and something that's like his tie is gonna showcase that. Which is
it's subtle, but it's something you notice, and it really makes him stand apart. Other than the fact that it's Giancarlo Esposito, who apparently is just typecast now in the Hispanic villain role. But
if you do it well, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Find something you're good at and stick with it. It's not a fault of his. He's great at that. I can't tell you how many times I've watched Breaking Bad now, and he's a big part of that. But that game I'm super excited about. I've been playing Far Cry for quite some time now, and I'm ready to roll on the next installment.
Yeah, for sure. What I like about this one too is in the last couple trailers they've shown that the main protagonist that you're going to be taking control of is going to be female, and from this last trailer she seems to be I actually don't know. It's going to be some sort of like radical group that's trying to kidnap the nephew that's on there. That's the child that's on the cover and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. I think he's going to be a conflicted character, and I think between his uncle, being the main bad guy, and then you being the main protagonist and stuff like that, and you guys are going back and forth. You're trying to shape this kid who seems to be in the know of a lot of things and also conflicted in a lot of things. So I'm very excited to see how this gameplay is going to go. The story.
Yeah, and I know multiple endings is a thing that is definitely going to be in the game, almost certainly. So it'll be interesting to see what decisions you can make along the way that will influence not just the nephew, but all the world and all the characters and how that plays out as you go through the world.
Right. If they do it like Far Cry 5, where they leave the ending completely open for another game, that'll be interesting as well to see how they tackle that. With Far Cry, it looked like they were doing like a Far Cry Villains. They're returning in like the season pass, which is going to be including Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, 5, and I think they're also just bringing Blood Dragon up to the next gen consoles, which wasn't my favorite Far Cry, and I don't like that they're attaching it to Far Cry 3, but I know there's a lot of people out there that really dug the 80s and the neon and all that reference.
Yeah, it's definitely a nostalgia thing, and as we talked about in our first episode, I'm a big fan of nostalgia, so I get the attraction to it for sure.
Yeah. And then let's see, they did Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. That I know that was leaked, which being in a COVID world, it's hard for leaks to happen, but Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope actually did it, and it looks like the cinematic showcased the two franchises teaming up once more, and they're doing a Mario Galaxy-esque adventure. So that's going to be coming out in 2022, and it'll be the similar as the first one, where it looks like the XCOM style gameplay.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, and it was reminiscent. It was nostalgic of those old open world Mario games like 64, where it seems like you can pick where you go and when you go there. So it's not right. Super. I haven't played it obviously, but it's kind of the vibe I was getting was that it's not super linear, and I'm a big fan of that. Like I'm on board.
Yeah, awesome.
Don't hold my hand in video games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind linear type games, but for this, it does look like they're opening up quite a bit, and that's going to be pretty cool. And then they showcased. What did they showcase next? The new Snowdrop engine that Ubisoft is going to be doing, and for the announcement of Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. I don't know about that game. We'll see. They didn't really give us a whole lot of information.
Yeah, the implication was that you were going to play against the humans. So, okay.
Right.
It just the trailer didn't speak to me personally. I know there's tons of like it's the highest. Is it still the high? I think it's the highest grossing movie of all time still, right?
Yeah, I just actually heard today that they took back their box office standing when they did a re-release in China.
Yeah, which is kind of a ticky-tack thing. But, whatever. It's neither here nor there. Either way, it's the highest grossing movie of all time. There's definitely a fan base there. So I understand why they make it. And it doesn't look bad. It looks great, actually. The Snowdrop engine looks like it's going to be the way of the future for Ubisoft here. But it's just not a game that I'm personally interested. I've never even seen the movie. I have no interest in seeing it. It's just a personal thing, I guess. Maybe I'm just an edgelord and it's just I'm a contrarian. It's just like, oh, it's super popular, so no thanks.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. It just doesn't really speak to me.
No, I understand that for sure. It does look like the game has the similar of like Horizon Zero Dawn. As far as going to different villages, and you have these different creatures, but instead of the creatures being robotic, like in Horizon Zero Dawn, they're organic, and it had that feel to me for sure. So we'll see how that goes. The things that were missing that I noticed, Prince of Persia wasn't there. I know last year that they showcased that, and then they said that they were still working on it. No word from that. Splinter Cell still doesn't show up, even though everybody keeps asking for it. I know that they did in the sizzle reel, they showed Sam Fisher a little bit, so I don't know if that's a tease to something that's going to be incoming for Splinter Cell, or if he's just going to be a part of something else. I thought that they were going to be doing a Splinter Cell anime on Netflix, so we'll see how that goes. And then Beyond Good and Evil 2. These are just some of the games that they've announced, and it feels like they announced them way too early. You know, with any sort of cinematic, you know, they try to get people hyped with doing their artwork to send it in to be part of the game, and then they just disappear. They all went underground. I feel like that's a problem these days, where people are just announcing things way too early, and then you're trying to drag on the excitement.
Yeah, that's definitely not unique to Ubisoft.
Right.
I mean, look what happened with Cyberpunk. that's in everyone's recent memory, right? So
yeah,
I mean, I feel like they probably just released. Obviously, it's not even a feeling anymore. They released it before it was ready because they talked about it for so long that people got fed up, and then they were pressured into releasing something subpar, and they basically shit the bed. It's definitely a problem, and it's not unique to this situation or these games. It's industry wide. It feels like.
No, it definitely is. You know, speaking on the Ubisoft with the other games that they did, we didn't get anything for Skull and Bones, and that is a game that we talked about in the last episode, where it was my most anticipated game in 2017, and it still hasn't shown up. You know, and Here we are in 2021. And it's not out, and they didn't showcase anything, and where the hell is it? So that's all that we have at the moment. I know that we have the Gearbox showcase coming up in about 7 minutes or so, so we're going to go ahead and end this, and then we will be back with more reactions and more discussion for E3.
Yep, sounds good. See you soon, everyone.
All right.